SoFi gapped down pre-market around 5%, closing today at 27.78, seeing a little bit of a bounce. This is definitely no sign for panic, guys. SoFi fell because the company announced a big $1.5 billion stock offering, which caused short-term dilution fears and pushed the price down. Pretty much meaning SoFi fell because the company created and sold a bunch of new shares, which temporarily makes each existing share worth a little less. There's no bad fundamentals or bad earnings, so the stock in itself still a very healthy and in position for a nice run up this month's stock. This is definitely no need to be fearful as a SoFi investor. Today we're going to be analyzing whether we should still be expecting that trend up back to all-time highs within the next couple of weeks. All right, guys, so starting on the weekly, we had a lot of chop with this week really about to close over all of this chop. So we had a ton of wicks, guys. We see very obviously battling for that control, getting over that 30. We can't really hold that $30 level. That's the main thing that we see here. And finally, right, we're peaking out. We see on that weekly candle that we're peaking out and above, trying to close over all of this wick price action, and boom, we just get hit with what SoFi has done, diluting the stock price, and that really does bring us down, leading a very good week on somewhat of a bad note as far as this close goes. But there's still no need to be scared out here. We're still in this chop range and finding that ultimate control for that break and claim over 30 and then trending back to all-time high. So weekly, still in a perfect position from this ultimate breakout of this long-term multi-year cup and handle, where we still haven't found any notable pullback since that breakout. All right, guys, so on the daily, we were actually very set up for this break of 30 and retest of all-time highs. What I mean by that, guys, is we found that great bounce after a ton of sharp selling pressure to the downside from those all-time highs all the way down to 23.76, which was that past resistance turned into past support, creating a double bottom effect. And from there, guys, we do a huge move, right, from that 23.76 all the way right around that $30 level, correcting around 27%. And instead of seeing a huge shutdown after hitting that 30, kind of like we saw right here, creating this pennant before breaking out more and no direct control, right? We saw price really hang out here. We saw the buyers keep their ground between the levels of 28.60 being the bottom and $30 being the high. We really did see around a week of price action really chilling out, getting tight compared to what we're seeing, right? In the past, in recent times, we've seen the touch of 30, quick breakdown, getting over 30, only holding for about a couple days and breaking down. No real control over that $30 level or between the levels of 28.60 and 30. But then we see completely different price action with price stalling out, building that energy for that next big move and leg up. But then we get hit with that dilution, guys, and that brings stock price all the way down to 27.78 closing today. We do see a little bit of a rebound, but really kind of just sit at the spot that we were brought down to. Now, this is definitely not a bad sign. Like I explained, guys, no real bad news here, and still in a very nice position for that reclaim of 27.73, that being a past resistance turn support. And the stock is very reactive, as we know, so that would be a good spot to get over and retest, getting back in the zones of 30 and 28.60, where we were really holding up very well until we saw this happen. And then flipping to the hourly, we see that initial movement, that first candle being pretty bullish, but then we found a bit of trouble trending over that 27.73, and then we closed right around that, closing at that 27.78, getting slightly above that spot, guys. So definitely not bad price action. We didn't see that further continued movement, gap and go to the downside. We did see a small recovery and kind of held our position on the day with a lot of indecision in the market. The market was very indecisive today, quickly on SPY, guys. We see the market started off today quite nicely, and then we see the end of the day kind of pull back. We had a very nice start to the day. We had some pretty important news for the overall market today. Started going and then pulled back. Didn't do all that much today. On the daily time frame on SPY, we do see a little bit of selling pressure, but got over that 684 and held over it. So still in a pretty nice position, pretty indecisive as we're trending right by those all-time highs within the overall market. But correlating with SoFi, guys, it definitely did hold up pretty good considering the gap down and the position that we were in. Quickly back on the hourly, we do see price kind of hold its ground and get above that important zone. So ultimately, guys, next week, you'd want to see that reclaim filling this gap, doing around a 4 to 5% movement, getting back within the zones of 28.60 and 30. I think that's very attainable. My prediction here is that we reclaim this level, especially if the overall market is going ahead and ripping for a couple of days. And we go ahead and trend through 30 for any real test. We might see a little bit of a hold up trying to get back in that 28.60, but overall, guys, I think it's smooth sailing to that 30, where then you would be looking out for a rejection possibly and a continued movement between those levels before building up that energy and finding that leg up, unless we have a very volatile kind of week where we're just blowing past that, getting back to all-time highs. So the analysis and prediction still stays relatively the same, guys. The bullish narrative on the channel definitely does not change. Not ideal to be in such a good position, ready to break out, building up all this energy just to have this happen, right? Get diluted, gap down around 5%. Definitely not ideal here, guys, but we're still in a perfect position to go ahead and continue this battle for that claim of 30, where, like we said in the last analysis, guys, we can get over that 30, but it is hard to stay in that control. We'll see a couple days over that spot, but we've never really held out on that spot, kind of like we saw right here. We've never done something like that on that $30 level, chopping around for a few days to a week before building up that energy and blowing past that. So that'd be something nice to see within the next couple of weeks, right? Get that rebound, finally claim and get over that 30, and then look for something like that. And if we don't get that volatile move, instead of getting shut down at that 30, look for that spot to turn into some nice base and a spot that we are comfortable at holding. So all in all, guys, the bullish narrative stays the same on the channel. And we predict by end of month, we could be seeing all-time highs and creating new all-time highs. Obviously, if the bears did get in that control, guys, you'd be looking at levels like 26.31 to hold up as support and 25, right? That spot that was a tough spot to get over for a long time. We're very reactive on the stock, and I don't think it's going to go this far down. I think that we do recover here. That is a prediction. But, if the Bears did gain that control, we have a ton of padding on SoFi where you got to feel really good as a buyer. So that'll do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. And for anybody who was scared and confused about what happened today, definitely nothing to be completely worried about. No real bad news, just a bit of dilution. And hopefully we go ahead and recover next week, guys. Definitely going to be dependent on the overall market. We are in a pretty indecisive spot for the overall market, seeing a bit of selling pressure today as we try to get that move up. But all in all, guys, still think we are in a very nice position for SoFi for the end of the month prediction of those all-time highs. And if you guys enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments what you guys are feeling about SoFi. And as always, trade smart. I'll see you all in the next one.